Most men think they can read a woman by what she tells them. But here's the uncomfortable truth. A woman's past isn't in her words. It's in the details she tries to hide. And if you don't know how to read those signs, you're walking into a fire blindfolded. Understanding her promiscuous past isn't about shaming. It's about protecting your masculine frame, avoiding emotional chaos, and building a life with someone who respects your values. And trust me, once you learn how to see it, you won't be able to unsee it. There are signals subtle, but consistent that reveal more than any confession ever could. But if you miss them, you'll pay in heartbreak, wasted time, and lost self-worth. If this message already resonates with you, and you believe more men need to wake up to the reality behind the smiles and stories, I'd really appreciate if you gave this video a like, left a comment with your thoughts, and shared it with someone who needs it. It helps this channel reach the men who are ready to lead with clarity, not confusion. Let's break down exactly what to look for and why ignoring the signs is the most expensive mistake a man can make. The unspoken signs of a promiscuous past. Most men ignore. Most men assume that if a woman isn't talking about her past, there's nothing to worry about. But silence can be louder than words. The truth? Her past behavior is never fully erased. It echoes in her habits, in her relationships, and in the way she responds to real masculine presence. You don't need to interrogate her. You need to observe. This is where your male intuition and emotional intelligence come in. And if you've never developed those, you're walking blind into a minefield. Think of it like this. Some guys see a beautiful woman, assume the best, and jump in headfirst. Then months later, they're shocked when their relationship implodes. What they missed were the subtle red flags, the little behaviors that whispered, "There's more here than she's telling you." And once you're in too deep, it's harder to get out without damage. The key is to develop the skill of the vetting process before your emotions cloud your judgment. Let's be real. A woman with a pattern of promiscuous behavior won't announce it, but her choices reveal it. Her friends, her views on sex, how she talks about exes, all of it leaves breadcrumbs. You don't need to become paranoid. You need to become aware. And that awareness is part of building true inner strength as a man. You're not judging her. You're protecting your future. Here's a hard pill. You teach people how to treat you based on the boundaries you enforce. If she's used to men bending over backwards for her, giving her loyalty she hasn't earned, she expects the same from you. And if you don't notice this dynamic, you're setting yourself up for emotional manipulation. That's why the masculine frame isn't about dominance. It's about clarity, calm, control. You ever notice how some women get uncomfortable when you ask very basic, respectful questions about their sexual history? Not aggressive, just honest curiosity. If she shifts blame, changes the subject, or gets defensive, it's not about privacy. It's about patterns. And your job isn't to accuse, it's to observe. A man rooted in psychological discipline doesn't fall for charm. He watches for nonverbal cues. Here's the part most men don't realize. It's not just about what she did, it's about what she learned from it. Everyone makes mistakes, but some people double down instead of growing. If she still glorifies her party phase, brags about chaos, or mocks commitment, she's not done with that season. You don't want to become her next experiment. You want a woman who values long-term value, not short-term lust. Let me give you an image. Picture a woman who's sweet, charming, affectionate. You meet her family, nice. You follow her social media, clean. But slowly, inconsistencies start to show. Exes still in the picture. Flirtation passed off as jokes. Friends with questionable values. She avoids conversations about respect dynamics. Something feels off, but she's too nice to be a problem, right? That's exactly how many men get trapped. There was a guy I mentored once. Let's call him Alex. Smart, grounded, driven. He met a woman who checked every box. Or so he thought. 6 months in, he was emotionally drained, constantly questioning himself. Why? Because her past, which she ignored, kept bleeding into their present. She carried years of promiscuous behavior, disguised under charm and sophistication. It wasn't about her history. It was about how unhealed it still was. And here, a quick pause. If this kind of content is pulling back the curtain and showing you truths you've never been told, don't scroll past. Hit that like button, subscribe, and share it. The algorithm won't show this to everyone, but you can. Let's keep going. Alex said something I'll never forget. She wasn't evil, but I was blind. That's the danger, not malice. Just male blindness. Men don't need more sweetness. They need sharper male awareness. They need to stop hoping and start seeing. And that only happens when you drop the fantasy and start reading reality for what it is. It's not pessimism, it's stoicism. It's power through clarity. Pay close attention to how she speaks about her exes. Does she play the victim in every story? Are they all narcissists, but she takes no responsibility? That's a clue. A woman with a truly grounded emotional intelligence owns her story. She doesn't deflect it. A past is forgivable, but a lack of growth is not. Watch for hidden patterns. They don't lie. They just wait to resurface. Ask yourself this. Has she earned your trust, or are you just hoping she deserves it? There's a difference. A man with emotional control doesn't give away his peace just because he's attracted. He knows the cost of misplaced loyalty. He's not afraid to walk away if something feels off. And that's not weakness. That's masculine wisdom. The kind that saves you from heartbreak. Look for how she handles silence. Can she sit in stillness with you, or does she constantly seek stimulation? That may sound small, but it matters. People with a chaotic past often fear stillness. It reminds them of everything they haven't processed. If she can't sit with herself, how will she sit with you? That's a test most men overlook, but it's one of the clearest signs. There's another overlooked detail: how she treats masculine structure. If she resists your leadership, mocks your principles, or constantly needs to redefine roles, take note. A woman with a promiscuous past often associates masculinity with pain or control because of poor experiences or unchecked trauma. And if she hasn't healed from that, she fights your masculine frame, not out of rebellion, but out of fear. Remember, the goal isn't to find perfection. The goal is to identify compatibility. A woman who's lived wild years but done deep self-work can be more loyal than someone with a clean past and zero reflection. It's not about labels. It's about patterns. And if you're not doing a relationship audit before diving in, you're risking your peace. You don't need to judge her. Just read the signals. Another signal is how she talks about male attention. If she constantly mentions guys hitting on her, DMAs flooding in, or being too hot to handle, that's not just confidence. It's programming. A woman still feeding off attention isn't done with validation. And validation hunger leads to boundary crossing. A man who values self-respect doesn't chase approval, and he doesn't compete with her fan club. Let's talk friend circles. They matter more than you think. Her environment reflects her values. If her closest friends are living the club life, chasing short-term lust, mocking relationships, she's either part of it or silently endorsing it. You don't need to police her. Just observe the company she keeps. Birds of a feather? That's not just a saying. It's a psychological discipline truth. Social media is a window into the ego. Scroll through her feed, not to stalk, but to analyze. Is it full of thirst traps, cryptic captions, and lifestyle flexes? Or is it calm, intentional, reflective? A woman with a reformed past doesn't need to broadcast sensuality because she's found peace in inner strength. But if her Instagram screams attention economy, that's your red flag waving. Listen closely to how she handles accountability. If you bring up something gently and she explodes, belittles, or flips the blame, you're dealing with a defense mechanism rooted in unhealed behavior. Accountability is one of the clearest markers of female nature in transition. A woman evolving from a wild past is usually humble. The ones who haven't changed, they bite when cornered. Does she respect your time or constantly flake and reschedule? Time is one of a man's most sacred resources. A woman who doesn't value your time will never value your leadership. That's not emotional, that's practical. It speaks to respect dynamics. And a man standing in his masculine frame doesn't tolerate constant disrespect masked as just being busy. Sometimes the past shows up in the bedroom. Does she push boundaries too fast? Does she expect you to perform or meet unrealistic standards from day one. That might seem thrilling, but slow down. Rapid intimacy without emotional connection often points to unresolved past behavior. She might not even know it, but her body is repeating old patterns. That's not sexy. That's a warning. Let's zoom out. Think about how she views commitment. Does she see it as a sacred bond or just a label? A woman's relationship with commitment often mirrors how she sees truth over comfort. Some chase the next thrill to avoid discomfort. Others embrace depth even when it's hard. You want the second kind. Because when things get real, and they will, you need someone who stays grounded. There's power in paying attention to how she reacts to boredom. Some women can't handle a quiet day without drama or distraction. They crave stimulation. New people, new places, chaos disguised as fun. That constant chase is often residue from a promiscuous past where peace felt unfamiliar. If she's always seeking noise, you'll never build a quiet life together. You'll just be the next distraction. Ask yourself, does she honor your leadership or try to control every situation? A man doesn't need to dominate, but he does need to lead. If she fights that natural polarity, it may be because her past taught her that masculine energy isn't safe. That's a wound, and it's not your job to fix it. Your job is to guard your peace and stay aligned with your values. You'll notice that some women are amazing at telling you what you want to hear. They mirror your energy, your dreams, your goals, almost too perfectly. Be careful. Some women use mimicry as a survival tactic. It's not partnership, it's adaptation. Male awareness means you test actions, not just words. Anyone can rehearse a line, but consistency? That's where truth over comfort lives. Let's talk emotional range. Is she open, vulnerable, and emotionally steady? Or is she reactive, closed off, or volatile under pressure? Women with unresolved histories often operate in extremes, hot and cold, sweet and sharp. You don't want a roller coaster. You want rhythm, stability. A woman who understands her emotions and owns them, that's gold. Not just for her, but for your sanity. Here's the deal. If this is hitting something inside you, if it's making the dots connect in a way no one ever explained before, take action now. Like the video, subscribe, and comment below. You're not just watching a video, you're building armor for your future. Let's go deeper. Now pay attention to patterns in her dating history. A trail of toxic men, rapid rebounds, or serial monogamy with zero break for self-reflection. That's not just history, it's an identity. Some people treat relationships like rehab, jumping from one to the next, hoping it'll fix what's broken. You're not a therapist. You're a man on a mission. Don't trade your focus for her unresolved chaos. Ever heard her say, "I don't believe in labels," or "I don't like being controlled"? That sounds modern and empowering until it becomes an excuse for dodging accountability. Some use freedom as a shield to avoid structure. But relationships, like anything valuable, require structure. If she flinches at the idea of standards, that's not empowerment, that's avoidance, and it'll cost you peace. Watch for how she speaks about other women. Is she constantly tearing them down? Competing? Gossiping? That reveals more than you think. A woman in harmony with herself doesn't need to destroy others to feel worthy, but one still stuck in old loops? She'll fight for status, even subconsciously. You don't want to build with someone at war with her own gender. That's a long, draining fight. Let's go deeper. How does she react when you say, "No"? That one word reveals everything. A woman who respects boundaries will pause, reflect, maybe ask why. A woman who doesn't, she'll punish, guilt trip, or try to seduce you into reversing it. You're not here to negotiate your standards. You're here to live by them. That's what emotional control looks like. Calm, grounded. Notice how she handles disappointment. Does she get bitter, or does she get better? Life throws curveballs. You want a woman who adapts with grace, not one who turns every challenge into emotional warfare. A woman still stuck in reactive patterns will see your leadership as a threat, not a gift. And if she hasn't worked through that, your masculine frame will feel like pressure, not protection. Pay attention to language, not just what she says, but how she says it. Passive-aggressive comments, weaponized silence, sarcasm wrapped in sweetness. These are clues. Clues of emotional manipulation. They don't always scream. Sometimes they whisper. But a man in tune with his male intuition doesn't ignore whispers. He knows they're often louder than words. The last piece? Self-awareness. Can she laugh at herself? Can she admit when she's wrong? Can she apologize without a script? A woman with emotional intelligence isn't perfect. She's accountable. She's growing. And that's the difference between a healed past and a hidden one. You're not looking for a nun. You're looking for honesty. And if you have that, you have a foundation. So don't rush. Don't assume. Observe. Listen. Lead. The signs are always there, but they only speak to the man who knows how to read them. And you don't need a million women to validate you. You need clarity with one. That's the power of practicing truth over comfort. Not just in her, but in you. You're not being paranoid. You're being prepared. You're protecting your time, your peace, your mission. And the woman who's truly ready for a man like you, she won't fight your standards. She honors them. So hold the line. Lead with stoicism. And never ignore the signs, because they never fail. You've got the tools now. The real question is, will you use them? Will you start leading with masculine awareness, protecting your standards, and reading the signs instead of rewriting red flags into fantasies? You don't have to figure it all out today, but every time you ignore your male intuition, you give away a piece of your power. So now I ask you, are you ready to lead with wisdom, or keep reacting in confusion? Drop your answer in the comments, but don't just type yes. Let's raise the standard. Leave this phrase instead. I protect my peace by reading the signs. And hey, if you made it to the end of this video, I mean this sincerely, thank you. Not everyone has the patience or the mindset to sit through content that challenges illusions and rebuilds strength from the inside out. If this message spoke to you, here's a small ask. Like the video. Share it with a brother who needs this wake-up call. Subscribe if you're serious about your evolution. And don't forget to hit that bell, because the next lesson might be the one that saves you from your next mistake.